I might not necessarily look like it, but I weigh 95 kilograms and I'm over 6'3". And as you can imagine and probably relate, getting into running hasn't been really easy for me. However, over the last year, I've made some changes, experiments, and also mistakes in my training and my whole approach to running, diet, recovery, and everything. And I thought I finally found a few little things, approachable, straightforward, simple things, which has been really working for me so far, which helped me to become a better runner and also enjoy it much more. So I can now be training for a sub 3 hour 30 marathon, my second marathon in my life in Tromsø, Norway, as a heavy runner. And by heavy runner, I don't necessarily mean someone who's only just a little bit overweight, let's say, but also people who are like me, tall and heavy by nature, I would say. Anyway, for today I have 8 kilometers easy run scheduled, but before I will start running, I just want to share a very first tip or like lesson I learned as a heavy runner, which is buying and using anti-friction or also anti-chafing gel. And this thing or this cream will help you and prevent you from rubbing your skin. For example, when you're running and you have your thighs really close to each other. So on your thighs, in the armpit, for example, then like especially in the summer. So as your skin is rubbing by, you can get the friction and then it really hurts, and especially in the shower. So I would highly recommend you using that cream. You don't need to use any special one. Basically any brand will do the work. At least for me, it has done. So really buy an anti-chafing gel. And I know this is really not probably tied into running, but I promise you it will elevate your experience from running massively. So yeah, that was the gel, the first tip or lesson. And also now, as I mentioned, the easy run, and you might be asking, what am I doing on track when I have an easy run scheduled? And it's basically because of the weather. That's the simplest answer I can give you. I was here yesterday on the interval speed session much earlier in the morning, so it was still dark, but only when I was leaving there was a sunrise and everything just felt so perfect. So I thought I need to come back today, even though it's just an easy session, not doing any 400 meter repeats and hard session, but just like listening probably podcast and just do the circles, which maybe sounds stupid, but for me, enjoying the green grass and like the sun on the track as the spring is finally behind the corner, this is something I'm really enjoying. And this is also something I would encourage you to find in your running experience. Like, don't take it just as something you need to do because you set some goal or you want to be fit or that you need to lose some weight. For example, me, I will be listening some podcasts during this beautiful weather, beautiful morning. So even those little things really make running for me really like enjoyable experience. And I know this is not really tied to like being a heavy runner and trying to fix those issues or anything, but I would encourage you to find those little things in your training, in your whole like fitness journey, because it will make it much more enjoyable and the most importantly sustainable. So without any further ado, let's go for a run and let's enjoy it. And before I will hop on the track and start doing a run, I just want to mention another tip which has been really helpful for me and quite necessary, which is doing proper and long warm-up. And by warm-up, I don't necessarily mean like the dedicated running warm-up that you see online and which can be kind of complicated for some people, but I'm talking about something what can make you warmed up. So what it means for me is that usually when I'm still at home before I go out running, I do some like little short dynamic stretching, and not only like my legs or anything, but just wake up my body, because as I like work out early in the morning, so I tend to be not sleepy, but I just want to like start on my body in general. So I do all these little things which can help me start the body and not necessarily be focused just on my legs, but overall body. Oh, the sun is like behind the cloud, come on. And when I'm leaving the house, I usually stop on the stairs where I do a little bit more like activated and more in-depth dynamic stretching, like dedicated on hamstrings, calves and just the legs before the run. Then depends on the training I'm doing. For example, yesterday as I was doing the speed work here on track, which is usually really hard and I really want to feel prepared to don't tear any muscle or anything. So I started with like 300 meters just walk to warm up and like start my joints. I would say, especially as a heavy runner, I don't want to like leave the house and just immediately start running. So I always start with like 200, 300 meters just walking.
maybe like choosing some podcasts or some music, what I will play or what I will be thinking about, and then I will start the run. So this whole point is that I'm exactly that guy who always really prefers to be activated and fully prepared, whether it is easy run or some hard session on the track. So I always do a proper warm-up, and then I feel much better, whether it's my joints, muscles, or just headspace, that I know that like something bad shouldn't happen. Obviously it can happen, but I just feel really prepared, and that is something I've been enjoying and doing for the last couple of months, and it has been really a game changer for me. So without any further ado, let's go for a run. So I'm already back at home from the run. The weather is still looking amazing, so I think it will be on some proper afternoon cafe walk with Eva. Anyway, one of the very first things I do after I got back from run is like a 2 or 3 stretching positions. So like a little stretching, which I do really after each run. So whether it is easy run, hard session, just every time. And this is just another tip which I would definitely want to include in this video, which has been really helpful for me, because if I don't do these, it's just like 2 or 3 stretching position, nothing really complicated, and I'm about to show you in a second. But if I don't do that, then I feel a little bit like off, the stiffness, or like tired, especially in the calf area, Achilles area. At the start, when I was like getting into running, I haven't been doing basically any stretching, or when I did, it was just like 1 time or 2 times a week. It has been truly a game changer for me once I implement it after every run. And as I mentioned, it's not complicated, it takes like 2 or 5 minutes. And even though sometimes I already see myself in the shower having a breakfast, I know that this can make a huge role, and that's why I wanted to include it and show you that. So let me show it to you, and as I mentioned, they are very basic and nothing really complicated. The first stretching position is like for the hamstring area mostly, and it really helps me to go really deep into this position, and I can feel like the butt cheek, the hamstring area, and I wait in this position for like at least 15 to 20 seconds, and I'm trying to go really deep, not into the painful area, but like really deep. And once I do that, then I just like smoothly translate it into this position, which again, I'm not trying to start with like very fast and itchy position, but just what my body can handle, especially at that day. Or sometimes I just do it very easily, and then I always like try to do it one more time, and yeah, so just like that. And the third one is in this position, so I'm like this, and I basically sit on my feet like this. I'm not really sure if you can see that, and this really again helps me to like stretch the Achilles, but also stretch my feet. And sometimes I really try to push it a bit and then release my legs, move it a little, give it a fresh go, and then 2 or 3 times again. And actually, let me come back just to the warm-up session which I was mentioning at the track. This is just another one thing I would like to mention. It's a basic lacrosse ball, but I guess you can do that with a tennis ball if you don't have a lacrosse ball. And what I do with this lacrosse ball is, like during the warm-up session I do at home after I wake up, is this activating my feet area. And I'm gonna start very easily, but then I will really like stretch it, so it is even a little bit painful, but I got it from my physio, and she said that it is completely fine. I don't need to be afraid, because feet are like, they can handle a lot. So I really try to activate them, and I'm just trying to like, let me show you, circle throughout the whole feet area. So this is not something I do after the run, but I just wanted to mention that as I saw the ball over there, and I didn't mention it on the track when I was talking about the warm-up before the run. So really try it. As I was mentioning, you don't need to start with a lacrosse ball, you can start with a tennis ball or something like pretty similar. Let me show it to you. It's just really hard ball. I can't even like
push it. So that's the benefit, and you just like rolling it over the feet, and it really helps you to activate like the whole area, and it takes you just to another level. So I know I sound like I'm selling lacrosse balls. Anyway, with that, the after run stretching is complete. As I was mentioning, nothing really crazy, nothing complicated, super fast, but really helpful, at least for me. And we also mentioned the lacrosse ball, which I have forgot, so sorry for that. Anyway, now it's time to have a shower and then a proper breakfast time, which is like my favorite part of the day. So the breakfast is complete, and after every breakfast I'm also always having a protein shake with like 1.5 scoop of protein powder and my vitamins, which are like essential for me basically after every breakfast, like right after the eat to digest it properly. And then I wait a bit and then I prepare the coffee and start working or doing something else like today. Also, as of recently, I learned to be swallowing 2 vitamins at once, which is a big deal for me. As a kid, I wasn't even able to swallow just one and a little one. And now I'm like trying 2 or 3 at once. So for me, it is a big deal. That's why I'm super like childishly happy about it. But I always need to drink it very properly and be focusing on that. So yeah, 1 is okay, 2 are sometimes a challenge.
The next thing I learned as a heavy runner is the fact that you really need and want to have running shoes with as maximum cushion as possible to reduce the pounding effect on your feet and also like a strain on your joints and on your body in general. And for example, for me as a daily shoes, I have these Saucony Action 3. As you can see, like the yellow variant is a newer one, the blue one is kinda tired, I would say, and they have been really great. They are durable and they have strong midsole support, which is again good to giving you a bit more stability once you're running. However, there is obviously on the market plenty of shoes, good shoes with high cushion. I heard that, for example, also Hoka is making really nice shoes in terms of the cushion and stability, which can be then good for us, for heavy runners. So you can check them out, or you can obviously check YouTube videos where there are like much more experienced runners who are like dedicated only for shoes or like mainly for running shoes. They have much more better overview and like knowledge about shoes for different use cases. So I would encourage you to check that out and really try to look for example, like high cushion daily shoes for heavy runners or some keywords like that. And if you have, for example, at home some old shoes or some shoes who don't have that high cushion yet, I think you will definitely feel the difference when you buy new shoes with high cushion, and you should definitely feel the difference like almost immediately during the first run.
Morning cafes just hits different.
Anyway, now I'm gonna migrate footage from the drone from this morning, from the workout you've probably seen in this video, and I'm gonna edit the video that you're now watching, at least a part of it, and I'm gonna schedule like the work and other creative parts regarding this video and other stuff for the later afternoon and evening, which is something I rarely do because I always try to prioritize work as early as possible, like during the morning or like before the lunch, do the most important stuff and task I can. For today, I'm gonna switch that because as the weather is getting better and better for today, it's like a first spring day, even though technically it's not spring just yet, it's still winter. So me and Eva, we're gonna have a quick lunch pretty soon, and then we're gonna go to the coffee shop to get some caffeine and sun into our veins. So yeah, as I mentioned, now it's time to migrate the footage from the drone, from the camera, start the edit, have a quick lunch, and then let's go enjoy the sun and have a coffee. Okay, the unreal coffee experience is behind us. As you could have seen, the first proper sun, 20 degrees out. I would get used to that real quickly. However, I think the spring isn't properly here just yet. I think it's still a few weeks out, as now it's like start of March. So I'm gonna be patient, and I know the time will come and the runs and also the bike trainings will be much more pleasant and joyful and everything. So I'm gonna stay patient. And for now, I just wanna go through last 3 tips I have in my notes here. And the first one is actually like really coming from my honest and own experience, which is do not compare yourself to other lean or like super fit runners, because I'm the kind of person who's like, even though I know I don't need to do that and I know it is irrational that, for example, me running outside thinking that somebody else is thinking about me and looking at me that I'm running slow or that I'm, I don't know, too tall to be running, too heavy and all of this. None of this is happening. This is only in my head, and I'm speaking about this in this video because I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only overthinker on this planet and in this running world. So I just wanted to share that you don't need to be doing that to yourself. And I know it's not easy. I'm still working on it. And this is also a similar situation as me buying a bike a few months ago. I was starting with indoor trainer, so I was only riding a bike here in my living room. However, I can imagine myself being in this like overthinking situation, comparing myself to someone else, as I will be riding for the first time outdoors like in the next few weeks. So I can definitely see myself being on the road and someone else like that I will be thinking that they are watching me and thinking that I'm like super bad or that I shouldn't be riding a bike, that I'm too tall, too heavy and all of these things, even though I know like none of this is true and I don't need to be like comparing myself or thinking that someone else is thinking about me, because in the best way said, no one cares about me. And that's like freeing stoic approach that I need to always remind myself, and I would encourage you to think that and focus on that as well. The next mistake or lesson is far more practical rather than like mindset oriented as the previous one, and that is like a simple fact that running downhill is far more tougher and harder than running uphill. And it can be also far more dangerous for you as a heavy runner. Because what's happening when you're running downhill is the fact that you tend to overstride, which means that you're like putting your legs in front of your body way too much rather than when you're running on a flat course or uphill. So then it can happen that you're like putting much more stress and pressure on your joints and overall on your muscles, which aren't used to be like moving in that way. And it is far more like intense for the muscles. So at the beginning, and especially as a heavy runner, I would just recommend to don't be afraid running uphill, even though it will be slower. Obviously, you want to check your heart rate to don't be, for example, in other zone than you want to be if you're like meant to be running easy and all of that. However, to summarize this, as a heavy runner getting into running, you can think, and I thought that as well, that running downhill is easier, and that can be easier, for example, for the heart rate, for the tempo, for the breath. However, it can be also far more dangerous, as I was mentioning, on the joints, on the muscles, because your body isn't used to be doing that type of movement. And obviously, it's not about avoiding running downhill at all costs, not at all. I just wanted to mention with this message that running downhill is definitely not easier than running uphills, even though it can feel like it at the very beginning.
And another thing I wanted to share with you is this thing behind me, which is the bike, and not necessarily the indoor bike. But what I mean by that is that you can combine running with other aerobic activity, like a cross training, to get the cardiovascular, the aerobic endurance from it, and not just be like all the time on your legs, on your feet, and like giving your body the stressors from the running, especially at the start and especially as a heavy runner.
And instead you can switch running, for example, for cycling, row erg in the gym, or basically some other aerobic activity. That way, in my opinion, it will help you mentally to be doing something else, but also it will help you to pull out the stress and intensity from your legs, which from running is, in my opinion, quite high, even though if you're doing, for example, just an easy run only. So don't make the same mistake as I did, and feel free to find another aerobic activity besides running. And that's about it for today. I hope you find some of the lessons and mistakes I shared with you today helpful. I'm rooting for you in your own running journey as a heavy runner. And if you want to keep following my own journey, which is now going for a second marathon in my life, and I'm documenting that here on YouTube, press that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!